This section is very much about what a person's preference is. Again, this is when we look at what the person does. This is just some aspects that we can then put on our reading screen, see what the person is best at. That's very much typically if they want to change a career, if they want to go into a career that they're uncertain of. So the first one is that we get people that are have different strengths in how they do things. This one is very much self-driven. They have a concept or an idea and they go forward with that idea and start to move it to fruition. This is somebody that would take the idea and put it out in the world and then drive it. So they're very self-driven. They work with themselves, get the ideas, and then put the ideas out there and get them to fruition. You could get somebody that has all three, basically, that has their own ideas, that set their own goals, and then does what they need to do in order to get the end result. This is pretty rare, and I would say that a lot of people would then work in teams. I think the biggest thing about people that we have to realize is that our strength on this planet and our dominance comes from the ability to work in groups, and people working together in a social structure is the ideal. Then we get people that are really task driven. What they do is they have a goal set in front of them, and what they do is they strive towards that goal. They might not necessarily have that goal set up by themselves. They might have that goal that they see and they're attracted to it, and they then put all the efforts towards achieving that. This could be somebody maybe that wants to achieve a sport result, so they know what they want to achieve. They want to be in a certain team, so they would do the efforts in order to get into that team, or they would see that they would like to have a certain position. They would do the studying or the qualifications or the professional certification in order to get to that point. Okay, the next one, we get people that are really good at following directions. There are a lot of people that are absolutely excellent at this. They are quite rare, I think. A lot of people are very self-driven sometimes when it comes to how they should execute the work. People that really take instructions, take it to heart, and do exactly what they're instructed to do. Those people are fairly few and far between and quite rare. Often we find that people that are in these kind of positions, the expression "they whip the willing horse" really applies to them. So a lot of the times we have to see if there's other people enacting on them, and if they kind of abusing their ability to do what they've been told. So a lot of these people need to set very strong boundaries, and they really need to be very firm in what they allow themselves to be said to do, and that they don't take on too much and drive themselves too hard. We could also have someone that's very self-driven, that has like the ideas, but then they don't really know how to like implement them. So we need someone like this to then get the work done. So again, partnerships are really excellent ways to get our things done out in the world, and working together with other people a lot of the times becomes really critical and vital. So for our sitter, we want to see where they fit into this, and then are they doing the right things for themselves in order for them to get the rewards that they need, or get to the place that they are most comfortable in. Or maybe they're working in a place where somebody really takes advantage of them, and they could really potentially move to somewhere where they are treated better. Then we look at people that are better at giving instructions. I have a friend in the military that is a sergeant major, and he's a really good leader. He's got a lot of leadership training, so he's very good at giving instructions to other people and getting them to act on it. These kinds of people that are in leadership positions. They also very much look from top down. They don't necessarily have to achieve everything themselves. They use the skills and the abilities of their team. Could have somebody that potentially is in the wrong section, so they could be in charge of other people, but they might be better suited in a technical position. I know of someone that was put in a leadership position, but this person is really strong technically, so instead of being a leader of all the people, this person really started to drive the technical aspects of the work that's being done, to a higher level, so becoming more of a technical director than a manager. We also get people that are really good followers. You might have somebody or sitter being in a position where they follow, and they could actually have some really good leadership abilities, which means that they might get a lot of frustration. So this is something we want to look at as well. Are they actually a good follower? Do they need to step down from a leadership position, maybe move into a team environment? We could have somebody that has to get people to do things, and they're not a good leader, that they could actually work together with their team better, maybe use the strengths of their team to actually lead the incentives of where the team is going. So what they do is they start to follow the directives of somebody above them, and then use the abilities of their team to the best that they can. So basically they steer the team into a good place. Of course, this could really backfire, as if they're not doing a lot of leadership aspects, and people are not getting credit for their ideas, then this could potentially put them into problem areas. So this would have to be managed pretty well, I would say. So there again, we can see if the person's very socially orientated, and maybe a person like that that could have high technical capabilities, that have to then be a leader, would then be far better used as a technical person, and might have to move into something different. So maybe also one of the places that are really good, if you have people that are really good followers, or if you have people that are really competent, if you're a leader over very competent people, then it becomes really easy to lead them, because you basically just eliminate all their problems. So you go listen to them, eliminate their problems. So what you do is you follow the lead of what they are wanting for themselves, and you basically sort out their problems, their difficulties, and then ultimately fix all their little problems, and then let them get on with it. So you could potentially be a follower, be in a situation where you're a leader, and then make it work for you in different ways. But we really want to have this play out on our reading screens and tell the sitter what we actually have for them. What is it that they then can do for themselves in order to change their situation to the better? If they are in the wrong position, they don't necessarily have to change the position. They can then take the images and so on that we see, try different things out in the physical world, and see if that works for them. Then we also have that people can be really comfortable in getting their ideas out there, and speaking up, and what their thoughts are, what they want to do, what they want to accomplish. So this is someone that's very expressive, that gets the ideas out in the world, that really wants to change the world outside of themselves, to reflect who they are. And this is something that not a lot of people like to do, but there are people that really want the world to see who they are, and they want to leave an impression behind. I would say possibly someone like Vladimir Putin, which is he wants to right the wrongs of certain political situations, and had conflicts going back quite a long way, and he wanted to act on it and right the wrongs of the past. And this is very much about him wanting to do that in conjunction with other people that feel the same way. So I'm not going to say whether this is right or wrong or whatever, but there is people that really want their actions to be known, their ideas to be known, and have that out in the world. Alternatively, we get people that really deal within themselves. So what they would do is they would have their concepts, and they would build on it themselves, and they would drive at it, and they would keep it to themselves and in their own heads. And this is something that they would then really build on and cultivate within themselves, and they would then use this to strengthen their own character or do something for themselves. They would not possibly necessarily want those ideas out in the world. This would be to strengthen what they do, or be able to do whatever they do in a more calculated way, or in a more efficient way. So what they could do is potentially take some tasks that they have to do, optimize those tasks to a point where they really are very effective at them, but they don't necessarily want to tell everybody else how they do it. They just want to make their life easier. Right, and then we have our technology and communication. A lot of people avoid these types of things. Like you see, I've got a little cross in my box there. So some people really don't like technology. They don't like communication. They prefer to do things a little bit differently. They like physical tools, and like to be carrying on quietly about what they do. And of course, opposite to that is where people really love technology and communication, and they use these tools very effectively in their businesses and so on. So it could be that somebody would be in a company where they're moving more towards I think a lot of companies actually have moved more towards this end. Some people are not suited to it, and there are more traditional companies out there, or people that have more sort of retro ways of dealing with things. You see something like vinyl records being sold still. It's a whole long time after they were basically taken off the market, and they made their way back onto the market, and for good reason, because they're something that has a lot of character, and some people prefer that. Some people like more character type driven things, my niece being one of them. So I do get people that want to do things in a more traditional way, and there are a lot of people that like old things, old ways. You could actually have some businesses that are run in an old way, more sort of a retro way, and people actually would go there to see how it was done, and this would then become a form of entertainment more than it becomes a very efficient system. So I know farmers in the Netherlands, they're incredibly efficient at what they do. They have done a lot of vertical integration, literally, where they basically farm vertically, and they can produce a lot more in a small area. But then you do get people that have their own little vegetable garden, and their vegetable garden is really not to be overly efficient. It's just a hobby. It's something to keep themselves busy. Then we can have people that really work for themselves or work for others. So you can have somebody that does their own thing. They can then work in conjunction with others. You can get people that work for themselves and then have joint ventures with other people, some sort of business interaction, or you can get somebody that is just creating something that they put out in the world. They could maybe have an agent that then sells whatever they're doing, very much like somebody that would write music or lyrics for songs, or composer. So you get people that compose the songs. They would send them to record companies. The record company would then find an artist to sing their song, and then basically put it on an album, advertise this, and then get it into the world. And that person that sits there quietly in the corner writing their songs, they just keep writing their songs. So an author would be a different one. They would write their books. The publisher would then do the rest of it. So they would then work in conjunction with other systems and then fall within them. Then you could get that somebody would really love working for other people. They don't really like to get into the nuts and bolts of things. They really like to have their little part in the world, and they would do their tasks and duties happily, but they don't want to get involved in any other business. So they're more happy to work inside a system than they are the system themselves. So this is what options there are available. And again, all this that we've talked about now, that is very much to see, well, what is something that your sitter can want more of or less of, or we want to really understand, who they are as a person. I find that careers is a very difficult topic, in that a lot of people are actually in a career that suits them. I have had it where I've seen that people have really good character traits for something specific. I've asked them about it, and said, well, you would really be suited in this environment or this kind of career, and they would actually be in that career already. So this is something that you could see. You can think for yourself, okay, well, if I have someone at the bank, what would I want? I want somebody that's really efficient, that is polite and courteous, and if I get somebody that's polite, courteous, and very efficient, and I put them in a position where they work at the counter in some operation, maybe at the government department, they could really communicate well what the person in front of them needs to do, and they could really express, what they need from that person, get what they need from the person, and then very quickly do what they need to do. Meaning that they would get a high turnover of people, which means that there's not a lot of queues in front of them, which would then make them very valuable. We would have someone that might be in a position that they're not suited at all, maybe somebody that works with technology every day, and they really don't like technology at all. Sometimes they're very good at it. Say, people that don't like technology, that works with technology, they kind of find ways to cheat around it, and they actually become very efficient because they try and avoid certain things, so they try to make it as easy as they can for themselves, and then they try to actually avoid the work by being more efficient. So sometimes this works very well, but they don't get a high level of satisfaction. And I think one of the things that becomes a little bit mythical is that money follows passion. So if you're very passionate about something, and you become very good at it, and when you become very good at it, you become very efficient, do things very well, and that means that you would be compensated for whatever you do a lot better. Right, so as a whole, the career preferences really just gets us an idea of what is the different ways that someone would work with other people, with themselves, and how would that then fit into one of the other questions we have, into their current career or into the ideal career for them.